Weird habits that are actually signs of hidden intelligence all have those strange little habits that make us feel a bit self-conscious. Maybe you talk to yourself, or you can't stop organizing things in perfect patterns, or you have this weird ability to predict what people are about to say. Well, what if I told you that these odd behaviors might actually be signs that your brain is working on a completely different level? Today, we're exploring weird habits that are actually indicators of hidden intelligence. Story 1. Talking to yourself like you're two different people. I've always talked to myself, but not in the normal way. I literally have full conversations with myself, playing both sides of an argument or debate. I'll be walking down the street going, well, but what if we approached it from this angle? And then respond, no, that won't work, because my roommate caught me doing this once and asked if I was okay. I tried to explain that I was just thinking through a problem, but she gave me this look like I might need professional help. Turns out, psychologists call this self-talk, and it's actually a sign of advanced problem-solving skills. When you externalize your thoughts, you're essentially using your auditory processing to supplement your visual and logical thinking. You're literally using more of your brain to work through complex problems. Einstein used to do this constantly, and people thought he was eccentric too. Story 2. Being obsessed with patterns and everything. My friend Sarah has this habit where she counts everything. Steps, ceiling tiles, the number of cars in parking lots, how many times someone says, in a conversation. She'll be sitting in a restaurant and suddenly announce that there are 247 individual pieces of decoration on the wall. It's gotten to the point where we joke that she's like a human calculator, but sometimes it's actually kind of unsettling how quickly she can process and count things. This pattern recognition obsession is actually a hallmark of high analytical intelligence. People who naturally seek out patterns and numerical relationships often have enhanced mathematical and logical reasoning abilities. Their brains are constantly looking for order and structure in chaos, which is essentially what advanced problem solving is all about. Story 3. Remembering completely random details. I have this coworker who remembers the most bizarre details about conversations from months ago. Like, she'll bring up that I mentioned my sister's dog was limping back in March, or she'll remember the exact brand of coffee someone said they liked in a casual conversation 6 months ago. It's gotten to the point where people are actually a little creeped out by how much she remembers about their lives. But here's the thing, this isn't just good memory. It's selective attention and processing. Her brain is automatically cataloging information that most people would filter out as unimportant. This type of detailed memory is often associated with high emotional intelligence and advanced social processing skills. Story 4. Needing absolute silence or specific sounds to think. My brother cannot think if there's any background noise, but he also can't think in complete silence. He has this very specific playlist of instrumental music that he plays on repeat whenever he's working on anything important. The same songs, in the same order, every single time. Our family used to think it was just a weird quirk, but it's actually gotten him through medical school and now his residency. This need for specific auditory environments is actually a sign of enhanced focus and concentration abilities. Some highly intelligent people have what's called sensory processing sensitivity. Their brains are so active that they need to carefully control their environment to optimize their thinking. They've essentially figured out how to hack their own brain's operating system. Story 5. Staying up all night thinking about abstract concepts. Know someone who regularly stays up until am thinking about things like, what if colors don't actually exist? Or, how do we know that our consciousness isn't just an illusion? She'll text me at AM with these deep philosophical questions that keep her awake. Her sleep schedule is completely messed up because she gets so absorbed in these abstract thought experiments. This tendency toward philosophical and abstract thinking, especially during late hours, is actually linked to high verbal intelligence and creative problem-solving abilities. Night owls often have enhanced creative thinking during evening hours, and people who naturally gravitate toward abstract concepts tend to score higher on measures of fluid intelligence. Story 6. Organizing everything in weird, specific ways. My roommate has this system for organizing literally everything in our apartment. Books are arranged by color and height, not alphabetically. Kitchen items are grouped by frequency of use and visual appeal. Even her closet is organized by some complex system involving color gradients and seasonal probability. It looks amazing, but it's also kind of intense how much thought she puts into the placement of every single object. This type of systematic organization based on multiple variables is actually a sign of enhanced spatial intelligence and systems thinking. People who naturally create complex organizational systems are often better at understanding how multiple factors interact and influence each other. Story 7. Predicting what people are going to say. Have this friend who can finish your sentences in a way that's almost eerie. Not just the obvious stuff, but he'll predict entire thoughts or arguments before you've even fully formed them yourself. We'll be having a conversation, and he'll say something like, "And now, you're going to say that this doesn't apply to your situation because," and then he'll be exactly right about what I was thinking. This ability to predict conversational patterns is actually a sign of advanced social intelligence and pattern recognition. His brain is processing linguistic patterns, emotional cues, and logical progressions simultaneously to predict likely outcomes. It's like having a social algorithm running in the background of every conversation. Story 8. Getting physically uncomfortable in certain environments. My sister has this thing where she can't handle certain types of lighting or specific textures. Fluorescent lights make her feel anxious and unfocused, and she can't wear certain fabrics because they're too distracting. She's always been like this, and for years, our family thought she was just being picky or dramatic. This type of environmental sensitivity is often linked to high sensory processing abilities and enhanced awareness. People with these sensitivities aren't being difficult, their brains are processing sensory information more intensely than average, which can actually contribute to enhanced creativity and problem-solving abilities. Story 9. Creating elaborate mental maps of everything. I know someone who can give you detailed directions to anywhere they've been, even if they've only been there once. But more than that, they'll describe shortcuts, alternative routes, and even mention things like, "There's a really good coffee shop on the corner if you want to stop," or, "The parking is terrible on that street, so go one block over." They seem to create these incredibly detailed mental maps of every place they visit. This advanced spatial processing and memory is actually a sign of high spatial intelligence. People who naturally create detailed mental maps often have enhanced abilities in fields like engineering, architecture, and navigation. They're essentially running a GPS system in their heads that's more sophisticated than most people's. Story 10. Being unable to ignore inefficiency. My coworker gets genuinely distressed when he sees people doing things inefficiently. He'll watch someone struggling with the spreadsheet and physically have to restrain himself from taking over and showing them a better way. He's reorganized our entire filing system, optimized our workflow, and even rearranged the office furniture to improve traffic flow. Management loves him, but some of our colleagues find him a bit intense. This compulsion to optimize and improve systems is actually a sign of enhanced analytical thinking and systems intelligence. People who naturally spot inefficiencies and feel driven to fix them often have exceptional problem-solving abilities and can see connections and improvements that others miss. Story 11. Needing to understand the why behind arithmetic. Have a friend who cannot accept any information without understanding the underlying reasoning. If you tell her that something works a certain way, she needs to know why it works that way. If you give her a rule, she needs to understand the logic behind the rule. This has made her incredibly knowledgeable about random topics, but it also means every conversation takes twice as long because she needs to dig into the reasoning behind every single point. This need to understand underlying mechanisms is actually a sign of high analytical intelligence and deep processing abilities. People who naturally seek out the why behind information often have enhanced critical thinking skills and are better at applying knowledge to new situations. Story 12. Feeling energized by complex problems. My brother actually gets excited when he encounters really difficult problems. While most people get stressed or frustrated, he gets this look in his eyes like he's about to have fun. He'll spend hours working on puzzles, coding challenges, or complex math problems just for the enjoyment of it. His friends think he's crazy for finding difficulty enjoyable rather than stressful. This attraction to complexity and challenge is actually a hallmark of high intelligence and intrinsic motivation. People who are energized by difficult problems often have enhanced cognitive flexibility and persistence. They're essentially addicted to the feeling of their brain working at full capacity. Story 13. Having extremely specific and unusual interests. He knows someone who is obsessed with the history of mundane objects. She can tell you the complete evolution of the paperclip, the cultural significance of different types of doorknobs, or the technological development of shoelaces. Her interests are so specific and unusual that most people don't know how to engage with them. But she finds these topics absolutely fascinating. This tendency toward highly specific and unusual interests is often associated with high intelligence and deep processing abilities. People who develop expertise in obscure areas often have enhanced pattern recognition and systems thinking skills that transfer to other domains. Story 14. Being extremely sensitive to inconsistency. Friend has this habit of noticing when things don't add up, even in casual conversations. If someone tells a story and one detail doesn't match something they said earlier, she'll remember and bring it up. She notices when people's actions don't align with their stated beliefs, when data doesn't support conclusions, or when arguments have logical flaws. It makes her great at her job in research, but it sometimes makes social situations uncomfortable. The sensitivity to inconsistencies is actually a sign of high critical thinking abilities and attention to detail. People who naturally notice when things don't add up often have enhanced logical reasoning skills and are better at evaluating information objectively. Story 15. Creating complex internal ranking systems. I have a coworker who has internal ranking systems for everything. He can tell you his top 15 favorite coffee shops in the city, ranked by factors like coffee quality, atmosphere, Wi-Fi strength, and price point. He has similar systems for restaurants, movies, books, and even routes to work. When you ask him for a recommendation, he doesn't just suggest something, he gives you a comprehensive analysis of why it's the best option for your specific situation. This tendency to create complex evaluation systems is actually a sign of high analytical intelligence and systematic thinking. People who naturally rank and categorize information often have enhanced decision-making abilities and can process multiple variables simultaneously. These weird habits might make you feel different or strange, but they're actually signs that your brain is operating at a higher level than average. Intelligence doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes it shows up as odd behaviors that make perfect sense once you understand what's happening cognitively. The next time someone makes you feel weird about your strange habits, remember that you might just be experiencing the side effects of an exceptionally active and intelligent mind. Your brain is doing things that most people's brains don't do, and that's actually something to be proud of. What weird habits do you have that might actually be signs of hidden intelligence? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating insights into human behavior and psychology. Well, that's all. Thank you very much for watching, and subscribe, and see you next time.